rather than prognosticate on specific policies or specific things that I think will occur, I'll be more than happy to take any of your questions and hopefully be able to respond appropriately to what he's doing and where he's going. Someone will bring a microphone to you, sir, and then you'll be able to.
I voted for Obama. I'm glad I did. He worked on a platform of change, yet he's bringing in a lot of what I call old-timers into his cabinet. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I think there's a difference between old-timers and old ideas. I think that he is bringing people who have had experience in the process. I think he wants to have around him people who have gone through what he is going to go through, have seen it unfold, have seen the vicissitudes of the political process, have worked with Congress and ultimately worked against Congress if the situation dictated. And he is saying, look, I'm the guy in charge. I'm going to decide what we do, but I want people who are advising me to give me a broad enough spectrum to be able to make those decisions in an informed and reasoned and responsible way. So I'm not disturbed by the fact that he's bringing in people who have been there before. I would be much more disturbed if he is their creature and they are not his. I suggest that that's not the case.
Have one up here.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you for taking my question.
Sure.
I've asked this question twice on this cruise and still haven't gotten an answer to it. And so I'm hoping that third time is the charm.
Don't scare me now.
My question has to do with Israel and Palestine. Neither of the candidates really discussed the issue during the campaign, but it seems to me that one of the problems the United States has in the world, and particularly in the Middle East, is that we are seen not to be an honest broker. That we seem to be heavily tilted on Israel's side versus the Palestinians, and yet we all recognize that we need a peace agreement of some kind needs to happen. My question for you is, where do you think President-elect Obama stands on the Middle East, and what kind of a priority do you think he will attach to it?
Those are two very important questions. And let me answer the second one first. I think the priority that he will attach to it is substantially lower than we might like him to attach to it. And the reason for that is because the domestic situation and the international economic situation are so severe, the challenges so vast, the things that he needs to do are so many, that he will not be able to spend a great amount of time and play a viable role in determining the course of the Middle East peace process. But having said that, I was chatting with Dennis Ross not too long ago, who was President Clinton's envoy to the Middle East. I know that he is invested in seeing to it that at the outcome of his presidency, there is a viable peace in the Middle East. I am absolutely convinced that he will name a special envoy to the peace process and will do so quickly. I think he understands that it is a flashpoint, and he certainly understands that it could divert attention away from things that he thinks need to be paid attention to. So I certainly think that he will invest his administration in the process. I'm not sure that he will invest himself in the process. Having said that, I think that we underestimate and have continually underestimated the complexities of that peace process. And in fact, I wrote two pieces about it. One was entitled With Malice Toward None, and it talked about what I felt were the building blocks that were necessary to have a comprehensive peace in the region. The other was as a single state solution possible for Israel, which sort of brought into the thinking process whether we could do a kind of federal state system where there would be a Palestinian state and an Israeli state, and they would be able to coexist and have a bicameral government, which we don't have, which we do have, and they don't have. And if you have an interest, I'll send you to that site. You can take a look and see what I had to say. But more importantly, the conundrum of what is happening in the Middle East is that Israel feels that the Palestinians came from a point of no legitimacy. It is not as if Israel can say there was such a thing as a Palestinian before 1967. The reality is there was not. That term came into the lexicon after 1967, after that war. And if you recall, Black September, which was a terrorist group within the Palestinian organization, was a terrorist organization. It was named because they tried to topple King Hussein of Jordan, not because they were fighting at the time Israel. And in fact, if you are familiar with the Palestinian uprising in Jordan, the number of Palestinians that were killed in that uprising is more than every single Palestinian, however you may define that term, who has died since the State of Israel was founded to this very day. 10,000 and change Palestinians were slaughtered by the Hashemite kingdom to ensure that they would never be a threat again. So understanding that it may well be a problem that is almost insoluble from the outside, no matter how good intention you might be, and that the only way that it can be resolved is from inside. Israel sitting down with the relative players and hammering out a deal amongst themselves. It's not a Camp David kind of process, I don't think. And ultimately, there will be, I hope, a sense on the Palestinian side, if they feel that they have no choice but to sit down on their own and cut a deal, that a deal will be made. I think Israel wants one. But having said that, I also wrote a piece that said, is peace more of a threat to Israel than war? And I'm Jewish. I can tell you in a heartbeat that my father's favorite joke about the only thing two Jews can agree upon is what a third Jew should give to charity is absolutely true. So, may rest in peace. Having said that, you remove the external threat from the Israeli discourse, and all of a sudden you have them reverting to form, and I'm not so sure that Israel will be better, stronger, more able to deal with the problems internally that confront them if they did not have this external threat and external problem to deal with. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but I think I've at least given you my insight on where we are.